Please, I'm really sorry for that obstruction. The network signal just went off, totally off, just off. I mean, that obstruction was too heavy for me. In fact, I was really feeling very terrible about it. But I want to welcome you back to the broadcast. Right now, we're back live, and I believe that it's not going to happen that way again. Now we are looking at Fela Anikulapo Kuti's video, the Babala nonsense video, the nonsense that talks about Babala nonsense going on in the system of the global evil against us as a people, and also, of course, against Africans too. And of course, I was actually analyzing these things. But before I go into playing that video again, I want to go into some details that will actually drive us into what we need to do so that we can continue this. I want to make you understand that this video is very important, that you're watching this Fela Anikulapo Kuti's video. Remember, our men are never celebrated. Our heroes, our prophets are never celebrated. That is why we need to begin to make the current generation or today's generation to understand that everything you do, your music, your talent, everything should reflect the message of hope and life to humanity. When your video, your music, your everything you do only talks about sex and dancing and all of that, ijo, just go on and keep dancing, and it makes no sense. Yes, after dancing, what next? We have to consider the facts of life, because the facts of life have to do with the details of life. And what are the details of life? The things that we meet every day in pursuit of our goal and purpose in life. What is your purpose in life? Your purpose in life is to fulfill what God has given to you to do here on earth, so that you can connect with what God's full purpose is for humanity. And that is why we're doing what we're doing. I'm going to play the interludes, the other things we actually began with before the stuff went off, so that you can get a pre-knowledge of where we're going, and then we can move on from there. Please listen to all of this.
One thing I've noticed, Premier, while I've been here, is that Northerners seem to have, I might almost call it, obsession about the Igbos. Could you perhaps explain that to me?
Well, the Igbos are more or less the type of people whose desire is mainly to dominate everybody. If they go to a village, to a town, they want to monopolize everything in that area. If you put them in a labor camp as a laborer, within a year they will try to emerge as headman of that camp, and so on. Well, in the past, our people were not alive to their responsibilities, because you can see from our northernization policy that in 1952, when I came here, there weren't 10 northerners in our civil service here. Then I tried to have it northernized, and now all important posts are being held by northerners.
Is this policy of filling all key posts in the north solely with northerners and not with other Nigerians a temporary or a permanent one?
In actual fact, what it is a northerner first. If you can't get a northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, as far as I can foresee, because it will be rather dangerous to see the number of boys who are now turning from all our learning institutions, coming out with having no work to do. I'm sure whichever government of the day might be, it will feel rather embarrassed, and it might even lead to bloodshed.
Doesn't this damage the idea, sir, of all people in all regions in Nigeria being fellow citizens of one country?
Well, it might, but you are, new to our region, but how many northerners are employed in the east or in the west? The answer is no. And if there are, there may be 10 laborers employed only.
A lot of attention on Twitter. A lot of people are saying, wait, where's the outrage of for what's going on in Nigeria? We saw 4 million people marching in the streets of Paris. We saw world leaders gathering there to sort of stand in solidarity with Paris. Where are those calls for the same kind of justice for the people of Nigeria? Help us understand the difference here, and maybe why we're not hearing the same level of outrage. Or is there a reason?
Yeah, good morning, Michaela. Yeah, the issue is, the stark difference, isn't it? World leaders, very prominent, linking arms, walking the Champs-Élysées, complete solidarity against this and outrage against what happened in Paris. vis-a-vis what we see in Nigeria, which is truly not, it should not be surprising. Look, what's happening in Nigeria is barbarous. It's horrible. I mean, it's complete madness, yet it's not a priority. The United States unilaterally could do almost anything it needs to do. It would be a long-term effort, but it could be done. And the United States has the capability. All the elements of power, we have those.
So why not?
Complete. It's not a priority. That's the problem. We are committed elsewhere in the world. Black West Africa is not a priority. Very stark, very hard to say, but
declare no election, no 2023 general election in Biafra land. This no election in Biafra land has been activated. We are going to make it a task that must be done by every Biafran. All measures will be put in place to make sure the adequate civil disobedience is implemented to stop the election in Biafra land.
Fortunately, we don't reason like that. Anybody thinking that Igbo presidency 2023 will stop us? What we want is Biafra, and what we're going to get is Biafra.
Yes, welcome back. Sorry for that interruption. We had to begin this program, and this is Biafra Global Network. Please share right now so that people can join in and people can watch and understand what we're doing. We're here to lay the record straight. We're here to look at the facts of the situation that we found ourselves. And I assure you that after today's broadcast, if you have not had the right mindset towards what we're doing, if you have been in doubt about the circumstances and the situation of the things we're doing, you're going to begin to have a new perspective, a fresh perspective to what we're doing, because we're determined to get our freedom because of what we know. Remember, I told you something last time. I said, what you know is your limitation, but what you can learn is your increase factor. So if you are going to talk about increase, then you must learn some stuff. And the stuff that we learn, or the stuffs we learn, actually moves us in the process of exuding the strength of the knowledge which we have acquired to make path that will actually smoothen and strengthen the cause of our freedom. Yesterday in our joint media broadcast, I was trying to make some basic facts, but because the time was not actually enough, I'm going to be making those basic facts today. But I want us to look at the life of Fela Anikulapo-Kuti. I'm going to play his video right now. I'm going to play the video live right now. And by the time I play that video, you'll be able to have an understanding and the basis of what we're going to be speaking about today. Now, I was saying something initially. I said that we actually don't celebrate the people that have really made impact, especially through what they can do, through their gifting, through their talents, through their abilities and all of that. We don't celebrate them. We actually celebrate people who actually tell us to dance. And, we have only few musicians who actually have used their music career to affect lives. Of course, I know a song of African China who sang and they don't burn house inside a Jegule. I have, of course, Abdul Karim, or what's his name now, who talked about Nigeria, Jaga Jaga. Then we have Fela Anikulapo, who is a philosopher. At the same time, he is prophetic. So sometimes we think prophets are people who put on suits and stand in front of the altar or send you a message on social media and say, I speak in your life that you are going to make millions and millions. Those are not prophets. Prophets are people who actually who can tell you the things that are going to happen based on the things that are happening now and tell you what can happen in the future. Not prediction now, not judge it as at what is happening now, but who can actually look at, and get meaning of what is going to happen in the future based on revelational knowledge of what we're going through now. Fela Anikulapo-Kuti is one of those people God gave that enablement and strength to actually do what he has to do through his music. And I was telling you something the other time. I said, Fela Anikulapo-Kuti actually went through hell. There was a time that they came to his house to arrest him, and he was naked. And he was, he said, if you want to arrest me, then take me the way I am. I'm not going to put on clothes. They told him, put on your clothes. He said, no, take me the way I am. And they bundled him naked, put him in the van and took him away. These are things that people have gone through because they are actually seeking for freedom of the people. In this song I'm going to play right now, Fela Anikulapo-Kuti stresses what we are in, what caused what we are in, and what we have to do to get out of what we are in. These 3 points he stressed in this music. That is why I want to use his music as a basis of the exposition today. What we are in, the cause of what we are in, and what we need to do to get out of what we are in. That is what his song actually portrays. And I want you to understand the 3 men behind, in the background, behind me, on the, backdrop behind me, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu at the center, Mazi Samonekpa at the left-hand side, Dimo Juku at the right-hand side. These are strong men of Biafra. These are men, visionaries, and people who have actually created the situation of freedom that we are in now, that we are about to enter. And these men are behind it now. But we're going to be looking at a man from Oduduwa region, which is Fela Anikulapo Kuti. We're going to look at his song. We'll look at his song. We're going to judge from his song, his music, and then we shall begin to get the exposition right. Now listen to this song and enjoy it. As much as you enjoy the song, please listen carefully, get the words. If you can write them down, jot some basic important words from the lyrics of this song, jot them down, so that by the time we go on analysis, you'll begin to have enough information about what we're talking about and how these things relate to what is happening to us, what we are in, and how we can get out of this situation that we are in. So just look at it analytically, listen to the song. Don't just enjoy the groove, because it's very groovy. It's an Afrobeat music. Afrobeat he's the pioneer of Afrobeat. And Afrobeat is a combination of African folk tune, and then combination of jazz and funk, contemporary jazz and contemporary funk. So this is a mixture that gave us the, Afrobeat. The music is groovy. The music is enjoyable, but please write the words out as you watch the concert. It's going to be a 10 minutes play. We are going to enjoy it for 10 minutes. I will not interrupt it. I'm not going to stop it. I will allow the song to flow to the end. I will allow it to flow to the end. I will allow it play to the end. Then after that, I'll begin to do the analysis as I bring it bit by bit, and then we'll begin to understand basically what we need to get out of this message, because all these things are very, very important, so that we can know who are the heroes and the people we need to celebrate, and the things we must take very important in our time and in this dispensation. Listen to this video, listen to the music, enjoy the music, but get the message. Jot down the main points you need to get from this song that I'm about to play of Fela Anikulapo Kuti. Enjoy it.
All the wahala, all the problems, all the things we think that you could do for this world at the start. When a teacher, schoolboy and schoolgirl jam together. Whoopee teacher, I go let you know. Whoopee teacher, I go let you know. Whoopee teacher, I go let you know. When we be picking, when we did for school,
teacher be teacher.
When we the university,
Lecturer be teacher.
When we start to walk,
Government be teacher.
Who be government teacher? Culture and tradition. Who be government teacher?
Culture and tradition.
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 Now the problem side of a teacher student I go sing about. I I don't pass speaking, I don't pass school, universities ever pass. As I don't start to work, now government I must confess to. You go for France, England, Italy, Germany, and them culture. For the British, for them you go Russia, China, Korea, Vietnam, and them culture. For the British, for them you go Syria, Jordan, Iran, Iraq, and them culture. For the British, for them. Let us face ourselves for Africa, not the matter of Africa. Bring this party of my song. Now all the problems of this world, him we they carry for Africa. You don't go asking me, you don't go asking me, you don't go asking me, you don't go asking me. Problems of inflation, problems of corruption, of mismanagement. Still by government, still by government. Now here we they carry all over Africa. Now the latest one, now him they make me laugh. Austerity, austerity. Now the latest one, now him they make me laugh. Why are they laugh? Man no fit cry. Oh, Ubia Watishana Uyibo. Ubia Watishana Uyibo. On the balls, the first election. And the second election, all in Nigeria. And the second election, I was a pass. Babala nonsense. Nonsense. He passed the rigging. He passed corruption. He passed regimo. Which kind of lecture be this? People no go vote. They come get big numbers. Thousands to thousands. Millions to millions. Which kind of election be this? Babala nonsense. Babala nonsense. Na demo ki recibi datio. Na demo ki recibi datio. Puti chansi demo ki recibi. Na oyibo ti shi osi. Na oyibo for Europe. Politicians many things. Many of them things I don't think about it. Me are not guilty to copy your Igbo style. Me are not guilty to copy your Igbo style. I want ask Igbo one no question. But Shagari finish me elections. But them not tell I'm say he make mistake. But them not tell I'm say he make mistake. Say this one go be democracy. But Oyibo them not tell myself. That for England I mean not which take over. I come think about this democracy. Democracy. Crazy demo. Demonstration of grace. Crazy demonstration. If it no be grace, why for Africa? As time they go, things just they bad more and more. Poor man they cry. Rich man be mess. Democracy. Crazy demo. Demonstration of grace. Crazy demonstration. If good do teacher teaches something and the students make mistake, teacher must talk so, but he will not talk so. I support them, they support them, with no say them teaching get meaning. Different meaning, different kinds of meaning. That is why I sing it, that is the conclude of my song. That is the conclude of my song. I sing, I beg everyone to join my song. I sing, I beg everyone to join my song. I sing, I beg everyone to join my song. Teacher, oh, your name. Teacher, oh, why the lecturer be said, make it not teach me again, no. Passing finish, yes, that day you don't die, no. Passing finish, yes, that day you don't die, no. Passing finish, yes, that day you don't die. Me and you not there for the same category. Me and you not there for the same category. Me and you not there for the same category. Me and you not there for the same category. Not the same category, yo. Category, category, yo. Category, 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 category,
Welcome back from that beautiful session of the music of Fela Anikulapo Kuti. In fact, I was carried away by that song. Anytime I listen to that song, wow, I say this is a legend. His music, very, very unique. Now you can see the uniqueness in the music, the fusion of solid melody, great instrumentation, powerful lyrics, and then impactful to the society. That is the essence of what I am talking about here. And that is the essence of playing the song here for us to listen. Thank you, Mrs. Maureen Hanks. Yes, I actually had an obstruction. You know, the network went so bad, and then I had to come up again. Thank you for always being there, you know, with me here always. And also I thank every Biafran who is watching now and for joining. Now, basically, we want to look at that song critically. Fela Anikulapo Kuti is a cynosure of experience, cynosure of knowledge and wisdom. He was able to express these things by the things he said and the actions he took. He was critically not seeking for self-interest, just like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not seeking for self-interest. He was not seeking of making money to build empire for himself. He's not seeking for money to build, to make an empire for himself, create a nation for himself. No, he's seeking to do things for his people. In fact, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, by situation and circumstance, is supposed to be one of the richest Igbo men or Biafran alive. But he gave up all those things because they are not important. He gave them up. The same way also, Fela Nicola Pokuti actually built Kalakuta Empire, and most of the people there were living free of charge. In fact, that place was like another Ajugule where people could just come if you have and if you don't have a place to go and all of that, and they enjoy themselves there. Of course, we can talk about, we don't want to look at the negative side of it, but we're looking at the positive side of impact, that he made. Now, in this video, we actually saw, three sides of Fela's expression. The first side is the cause, the situation, and then the effect and possible solution. The cause, the effect, and the possible solution. Now, Fela began in that song by saying, all the wahala, all the problems, all the wahala, all the problems, all the things where we think say it good. Where would they think say it good? That means these things actually we felt that these things are good. So I'm going to pause it so that you can understand basically what he was trying to say. He said, this one is that when teacher, schoolboy, and schoolgirl jam together. I've analyzed that in the other previous. If you go to the YouTube channel, Biafra Global Network, you can get the details of that. He said, this one is that when teacher, schoolboy, and schoolgirl jam together. And I made you understand that the teacher here is the Europeans. He made it in that music. He said it. The teacher is the Europeans. Then the students is everyone who is under their tutelage from childhood to adulthood to the government. Now, if you remember also, I told you that every nation is comprised or is designed by the culture and traditions of the people. That means you can talk about a people without looking at culture and tradition, because culture and tradition defines people. In Biafra, our cultures and traditions define us. By that, we know that we are Biafrans. And basically, if you look at our culture and tradition, they are almost the same. That tells you that we have a source, one particular source. And what is the name of that source? We are Igbos. We originated from Eri. We originated from the name Igbos. Even if we had several people, coming with Eri and several people actually giving birth and producing, a lineage, they all came from a source. And that source is is one, the Igbo race. We are called the Igbo race. And then we are streamlined to become Biafrans as a nation. As the Igbo race, we decided to take the name Biafra as a nation. That does not make you less an Igbo. So if you are from Ijaw, if you are from Akwa Ibom, if you are from Anang, if you are from whatever name you are called, Shekiri, or wherever you are from, you are an Igbo. That is your origin. Then you are a Biafran. And being a Biafran comprises of every of the tribes and the tongues, the languages, and all the people who are from that source, that Igbo source. That is you and I, in spite of our tribes. So we have been able to settle that. Now, of course, that composes a government. Of course, when you have your tribes and tongue, your culture and all of that, you now have used it to determine that you are a nation. It is nationhood that is expressed in traditions. So which means that when we talk about the Biafran nation, we're going to be talking about the traditions of the nation. And it is the tradition of the nation that makes us call us Biafrans, or that makes people call us Biafrans, or that call ourselves Biafrans. And it is from the traditions and cultures that we design our constitution and laws, which is called command. And it is the command that helps the control the sense of control, because it is through commands or through commandments that you can instill control. And how do you instill control? By enforcing commandments or enforcing commands. So when you hear of command and control, you are talking about the expression of culture in the language of laws, in the language of rules, in the language of principles. So when you want to express, if you want to find a particular sense of culture and tradition of the people, go to the constitution of that nation. You can sense the content of their traditions and cultures. So that gave us the fullness and the depth of what we actually call command and control. Control is the execution of the command, because control is meant to use the command to harmonize the system and harmonize the process. So when you hear of command, you're actually talking about commandments formed out of culture and tradition of a given people. That is why I asked the question the other time. I said, what is the culture and tradition of Nigeria? There's none. We don't have a culture and tradition for Nigeria. Nigeria has no culture and tradition. We only have nations that are trapped in that name, Nigeria, which is a British sense of judgment or British sense of control, British name for subjugation, or British name to impose their foreign corrupted culture of corruption and tradition of stupidity on us. So we find ourselves behaving culturally messed up by the British system, which in our own traditions and culture will actually look down on who we are. We want to dress like them. We want to speak like them. I'm not saying speaking English the way it is supposed to be is wrong, because you have to learn people's language according to their accent. If you want to learn English, you learn it according to their accent. If you want to learn Dutch, you learn it according to their accent. If you want to learn Yoruba, you learn it according to the accent. If you want to learn Igbo, you learn it according to the accent. If you want to learn Ijo, you learn it according to the accent. If you want to learn, any language you're going to learn it according to the accent. Don't use Igbo accent to adjudge or to pronounce the Dutch language. It's going to make it not sound well. So it is good to learn things well, quite all right. That is why we try, as much as we have English as our means of communicating generally now, until we have our Biafra language, we are going to speak it well. And when it comes to our language, also Igbo language or whatever language, we speak it well. Now, somebody may ask me here and say, if you say we are all Igbos, then why do we have an Igbo language? It's a big question. Now, when you talk about language, language is a characterization of culture or identification. When you want to identify a particular tribe that is from the Igbo nation or from the Igbo race of the Biafra nation, you identify them by their language. They are from the Igbo source, but they speak Shekiri, they speak Ijo, they speak Anam, but they are from the Igbo source. That is the name as a source. But yet, your source can also form the basis of your language. The Igbo language is supposed to be a total encapsulating language that everybody from the Ijo, Anang, and all of that could speak. But the people who actually speak the Igbo language actually named that language Igbo as a means of identifying with source. That does not make the Anang different from the source. That does not make the Shekiri different from the source. That does not make the Ijo different from the source. Because the Ijos didn't name their language Igbo does not mean that they are not Igbos. So if I am from Kogi, for instance, and I have a language, maybe Idoma language. I don't know, Idoma, is it a Kogi or Benue? Anyways, let's just assume it's in Kogi state. And you have Idoma. Yes, I think it's in Kogi state. Let's just assume it's Kogi. I can decide now to compose my language and rename it to take the name of my source, Kogi. That does not mean that anybody who is from Kogi becomes different or loses their identity as Kogi. No. If we have Idoma people as Kogi and we have Igala people as Kogi, if the Igala people decide to name their language, the way their language is patterned, if they decide to name it Kogi, it doesn't mean that the person who is also Idoma from Kogi is not from Kogi. So you get the trick there. So for the fact that the people in the a certain group of people who speak a particular language decide to name their language Igbo, which is actually the name of the source of everyone who is under the Biafra territory, doesn't make them the only people who are Igbos. Their language is called the Igbo language, but they are not the only Igbos. The Ijo, the Shekiri, the Anang, everybody who is under that geographical territory of Biafra is from the Igbo race. Even if the people, a certain group of people from that same race decided to call their own language Igbo. So you understand it. So that explains when you say, and so if you say we are Igbos, then how come we're not speaking the same language? No, the language is not what determines our source and race. It is our nature, where we come from, that determines where we are from. It is not the language we speak. I, as an Igbo person right now, or as an Igbo person who speaks the Igbo language, you know, or let's say I, as an Igbo person now who speaks the Ijo language, can decide to design my own concept of language. And I begin to teach my children, teach my wife, teach my family people, teach people around me. And then as I teach them, they begin to learn it. They begin to learn it. They give birth to their own children. They begin to pass it on to their own children. They pass it on to their children. Their children begin to pass it to their own children. And these things are passed and passed. And before you know it, it becomes a statute, or it becomes a language recognized, because we took time to let the lineage learn it. That does not mean that I am not Igbo or I am not Ijo. Because if you are Ijo, you are Igbo. Because you are first Igbo before you are Ijo. You are first Igbo before you are Shekiri. You are first Igbo before you are, Bang or Banke. You are first Igbo before you are Anang. You are first Igbo before you are Akwa Ibom. So you are first Igbo before you are Calabar. You must understand these things. The source. You are first Igbo before you are Bakassi. You must understand these things, basically, because your source determines every other thing. So even if I call my language Igbo, does not mean I can decide to, as an Igbo person, who is an Ijo person, if I am Ijo, for instance, I can decide to bring out a language now and call it Boi. If I call the language Boi, that means the reverse of Igbo. Doesn't mean I'm not Igbo. I can call it Boi, and my generation, they'll say, which language you speak? We speak Boi. And everybody takes it, we speak Boi. So you see now, that is the secret, and that is the strategy. That is the, the scheme and the design, the concept. That is it. So now we understand that. Now, Fela Nicola Kuti said that who be government teacher? He said something. He said, when we be picking, Papa, Mama be teacher. When we did for school, teacher be teacher. When we did university, lecturer be teacher. When we start to work, government be teacher. Who be government teacher? Culture and tradition. Now, what is the Papa, Mama teaching the children? What is the teacher in nursery, primary, secondary school teaching the children? What is the teacher in the university or the lecturer in the university teaching the children? What is the government teaching the people, the parents who are teaching these children? What is the government teaching? The culture and tradition as regarding their laws made out of the culture and tradition of the people. So what Papa and Mama become, when Papa and Mama becomes a teacher, according to Fela and Nicola Pakuti here, he's actually talking about Papa and Mama transferring the concept of tradition and culture into the children. The reason why you find your children speaking the way you speak or behaving the way you behave is because you have been formed out of the culture and tradition that you are from. So they learn, for instance, give birth to a child now in Nigeria, in the zoo. Or let's just, zoo doesn't exist anyways. The Nigeria doesn't exist to us. Give birth to a child now, let's say in Ijaw Nation. And then take that child immediately and travel to China and leave that child in China and come back, go back in 10 years. That child will never behave like an Ijaw child. As simple as that. Am I making sense? No, that child will never behave like an Ijaw child. You know why? You took the child that is empty of information, just like a laptop or a system, or a computer or a phone. You buy it, it is empty. You begin to implant things into it, information into it. You begin to put information into it. It is the information that you put into it, it begins to display to you along the line. It cannot give you more than what you put into it. That is the truth. So that child now that is from an Ijaw father, or an Anang father or mother, taken to China, begins to behave like Chinese because the culture and tradition of China has been implanted into that child by the system, whether from the government or somebody who took him as a care, somebody who decided to take care of him and all of that, and then everybody who decide to mold him and all of it. In fact, his accent will not sound like yours anymore. The way he pronounces words will not sound like yours anymore. He's going to sound differently from what you sound. So when he comes to you now, he becomes confused, because when he listens to you and you say, I'm your father, I'm your mother, listen to me, see the way I pronounce things, he will look at you, he will wonder, I'm not used to this. What is this? It sounds strange to me. Culture and tradition forms the mental disposition of everybody under the auspices of that culture and tradition. So you must understand when Fela is saying, who be government teacher, culture and tradition, because he knows that it is from the point of the government, which is the cynosure of the law. That means the sovereign expression of the law. Because when you want to talk about culture and tradition, you look at the authority over that nation. So, sorry, every culture and tradition is designed under the auspices of such kind of narrative. So that is why, sorry, please, that is why that child will behave like a Chinese. The same way also, you give birth to a child in Anang nation, in an Anang tribe, you take that child from that Anang tribe to place in somewhere like, let's say, Australia. The culture and tradition of Australia will encapsulate that child, and that child will lose the culture and tradition that you gave birth to him or her in. That's how it is. But if you take an adult, for instance, most of you who traveled abroad as an adult, you discover that it becomes difficult for you to change that accent. It becomes difficult for you to even change the way you behave and your mentality. You have to put extra energy, even to try to speak well, to try to speak like them, to try to speak maybe Russian, to try to speak like maybe any other language. You try as much as possible to change your accent, but you will discover that the way you sound, that you have sounded from when you were little, under which culture you grew up, will still affect your accent as you pronounce the accent or the words of the country you are in. So that is the uniqueness of culture and tradition. That is why you must understand that the basic concept here, Fela is trying to make us understand, is that we lost it when we accepted the foreign culture and tradition. Because when you accept my culture or my style of operation, you will do things the way you want to imitate me in what I do. And when you want to imitate me, I can create a corrupt system of you or for you to imitate. That is what the British did. When they brought in the culture and tradition, they corrupted it. When they corrupted it, they now passed it on to us. So we thought we were learning their ways, whereas we were learning their ways that have been the corrupted version of their ways. They gave us the corrupted version of their ways. Thank you, Miss Morin Hanks. Thank you. They gave us the corrupt version of their ways. They absorbed the original version, held it tenaciously, which has to do with their collective interest and their development. But they gave us a corrupt version of that one they wanted us to believe in. That is why when they brought the Bible, what they did is they corrupted it. They brought in their missionaries to paint it in another light of understanding for us, so that we can accept their intention as genuine, whereas their intention is actually meant to destroy our system. So they actually corrupted the whole process. That is why you see that most of us now are become religious rather than become Christian. Because being a Christian is a way of life, but being religious is a principle designed under the concept of a raw truth of Christianity, or a raw truth of God, to design or to present a particular image in the minds of the people you want to manipulate. That is why you see that most things you call churches today are actually products of religion. And so when you go there, what they do is they instill in you the concept of religion. And rather than getting the truth and understanding of way of life, you begin to understand the way of religion in principle of corruption. And then when you begin to take these things in, you begin to have a kind of perverse mind, and you begin to even fight to want to even preserve it with your own blood. In fact, you will, just like some people have taken Islam, they can kill people for that because it has been corrupted. It is a corruption that has come into a system. You know, when you bring corruption into a system, You design that system to mean something else rather than the original. And when it means something else, it begins to poison the mind and the faculty of reasoning of the people you actually feed this information. That is what happened to Biafrans. As soon as the Europeans came with the culture and tradition of their culture and tradition corrupted in what they wanted us to see, they began to deal with us in that concept. What did they do? The next thing they did is they began to select some of us, some of people in our midst, like Nnamdi Azikwe's father and Nnamdi Azikwe and all those people who were there then. They began to pick them, taking them to their country to give them education. The education they gave them was a corrupted version of their culture and tradition. They put in their minds a system, tried to make them see how they are going to benefit from the system. The reason why our people quickly embraced it when they traveled there is because they made them believe that once you come in, we are going to put you in charge of your people. And when we put you in charge of your people, you will gain so much. You will lead, you will be in control, you will rule those people, you will make so much for yourself, but you are going to do our bidding because we also want to gain through you. So they took them there, and because of the poisoned culture and tradition that have been designed for the greedy benefit of these people, who actually, of course, you know that the human system or the human person or a human being actually is corrupt. If they don't control that corruption, they end up becoming wicked. When you hear of wickedness, it comes from the realm of corruption. And corruption comes by a mind that is poisoned or dictated or influenced wrongly. When you influence a mind wrongly, it becomes corrupt. When it becomes corrupt, it becomes wicked, because the expression of corruption is wickedness. That is why you can see these people send some kind of money, into their bank account, and Nigerians are dying. That's why you can see leaders, I don't call them leaders, rulers from Biafra land, who can still sell their people, take money, and go about enjoying themselves and allowing the people to be impoverished. That is what corruption does. It creates a wicked expression of a corrupt and perverse mind. That is why in Romans chapter 1, verse 6, Paul said something there. He said, because they refuse to acknowledge God in their mind. The first point is the mind. Because they refuse to acknowledge God in the mind, he gave them over to a reprobate mind to do things that are not right, to do things that are not convenient. That is why, if you read further to verse 28 to 29, on all of that, it now says, they began to do things, wicked things, as man sleeping with man, man having sex with man, woman having sex with woman. They began to do so much evil. The Bible called it evil. So when you see these nations, carrying out homosexuality and all of that, you can tell the extent of wickedness. In fact, the corruption they brought into Africa backfired in their own nation. Because to actually explain the corruption they were passing to other nations, they needed to get their people to believe that corruption as right. And for their people to believe that corruption as right, their minds must be affected. And so when the minds of their people became affected, their people began to now express wickedness even to themselves. That's why they can wake up and say, we want our rights, we want to sleep with animals. So you have to approve that right. And their people begin to believe in that. You can approve that right. And in their mind realm, they have been taken, they have been taken away from right judgment, and they have been taken to the realm of evil and corruption. So that is what happened to our people. That is what happened to our people. So when the British, good afternoon, man, you're welcome. You're welcome. Good afternoon from here. Thank you for joining. Now, when our people got into that perverse, corrupt strategy, which the British instilled in the people, because what they did is they picked some of us and took them abroad, gave them that corrupt version of their religion and culture. And these people now returned based on the fact that they have made them understand that this corrupt version of greed and this greed and all of that were given to you, it is meant for your own benefit. Now let me tell you how people corrupt people. The first thing they do is this: they make you see what you are going to gain from what they are trying to get you in. Do you agree with me? That's what they do. For instance, those people who are going about carrying out jihad, the words what they call jihad, to kill other people. What they tell them is this: when you are killed, here we're going to take care of your family. Where you're going to have 72 virgins. You're going to have enough alcohol to drink, and you're going to have enough places in heaven. You're going to have much women. You're going to enjoy your life. So you are living a life that Allah, and going to a life that Allah has prepared for you. They deceive them and manipulate them by what they make them feel they're going to gain. Now, let me also say this. Do you know that the reason why most of us fall into the hands of 419 people, internet fraud and all of that, is because of the greed in us? You can imagine somebody comes up and tells you that just give us 50,000 and in 45 minutes you're going to make 100,000. Now, because of that greedy nature of quick money, that person now, wow, really, it distorts their mental faculty. They can't reason. They don't reason. If I am going to make 100,000 from 50,000 every 45 minutes, why hasn't, and this person now tells me, I just did it now and got it. Why did he do it once and get it? Why didn't he keep doing it and get doing it? Because naturally, if something is profiting me, I'll keep doing it and doing it. I don't need to tell you. And in fact, when I'm going to tell you when I've made so much, because I know that it might close when I begin to bring more people into it. That's how to reason. And again, you now ask yourself, even if it works this way, how come the government of the nation have not seen it, so that they can plunge all their money into it and make double and pay their debts? So yeah, Miss Maureen Hanks says it's a massive greed indeed. Yes, it is. So when you see people deceived and fall into financial criminality and they are fraudulently swindled of their hard-earned money, it's because of their greed. I don't see the reason why I'll be so desperate and you come to tell me that in 45 minutes I'm going to make double of my money if I impute the money. I'm going to ask you some serious questions. In fact, most of these people who come into my private platform to tell me all of those stuff, what I do is that I create another scene and design the concept again for them to join me. Now when they join me, I'll now begin to make them to call me because they're expecting the money to come. They believe the money is going to come very soon. So they keep calling me and calling me and calling me and calling me. I will make them waste their money. By the time they come to the end, I'll now say, you see how stupid you are. You see that you are very stupid. That's when to now dawn on them that I've been deceiving them. I will now make them waste their money for costs and all of that. In fact, I always deal with them because I know how to deal with such kind of people. Yes, just like the native doctors, of course. Just like them. So Fela acknowledged the source. The first thing Fela acknowledged here is the source of corruption, culture and tradition. That is why the British brought in culture and tradition to eliminate and take away our culture and tradition. Mr. Maureen Hanks, you're laughing. Yeah. Sometimes you got to deal with this kind of people. You make them waste their money and spend their money. You make them spend their money. That's nonsense. You want to manipulate me because you think I'm greedy. That is why they manipulate. They believe that every human is greedy. That is the first principle and law. They believe that every human is greedy. So when you present something that will benefit them fast, they want to come. That is what happened during slave trade. That is what happened when Britain and the Europeans came in. They cashed into, they met the people, and because of the greed in the hearts of the people, they were able to get them. Now, let me tell you this. There was something I was trying to say in the joint broadcast, because I'm going to end very soon. I'm going to end here because I'm going to keep analyzing this in the next period of time. I'm going to come on, massively to analyze this thing very, very deeply, so that we begin to understand the source of our problems and how we got here and what we need to do to get out of these problems. Very, very basic, very, very important. Now, let me tell you this. Do you know, or did you know, that the reason why the British or the Europeans were able to discover our weaknesses was because when they came in, they studied the people and saw that they were actually just regular people. What do I mean by that? It will take me into history to explain this. First, I want to go to the first empire. Remember, when the Bible talks about the empires, the world empires, there have been so many empires. The Bible didn't mention the British Empire, but the Bible was actually talking about empires that oppressed Israel. So when you hear of 8 empires that is going to lead into the time of Antichrist, you are talking about the empires that will oppress the nation Israel. The first empire that oppressed Israel was the Egyptian Empire, and it was an African nation. It was the African nation, the African continent. Egypt became the first empire. Egypt got, developed quickly after Babylon started development in the time of Nimrod, because it was Nimrod that began the development of Babylon when he built the town, the city of Babel. Before he built the Tower of Babel, before he built that tower, he actually built the city. And he was so strong. He was a hunter, a strong hunter. And at the same time, he was so spiritually strong. He hunted both men and animals. In fact, he was so strong and powerful that he started creating a religion that the people began to believe in him so much, that he now created, because he wanted to put the people under his control, he now built the nation called Babel. Now, that nation called Babel became a stronghold for him. Now, but because he wanted to make a spiritual note to the people, he wanted to also design a spiritual symbol for the religion he had built under the people based on the belief they have in him, because they had the impression in that religion of the incarnate mother, the supreme father, and the son. The supreme father, or this sovereign father, the incarnate mother, and the incarnate father, the mother and her son. That's which they use in representing, in the context of how the Roman system corrupted Christianity and brought the Roman Catholic system. They now brought the Father, the Son, and and they brought the Father, they brought the Son, and then they brought the mother into it. That was why you saw they brought Mary to represent the incarnate mother, or the supreme mother, in the context of the Nimrod design of culture, of religion. I'll talk more on these things so that we'll begin to understand this later on. I can't say them fully here because I don't want to go too fast. I want to take it step by step. Now, when the Babylonian Empire began, which was stopped by God's destruction of Babel, when God confused the language and dispersed the people, because Nimrod built that city. And after building the city, he now built the tower. Now, on that top of the tower, he now puts the symbol of the sun and other things, which represented most of the symbols of most culture, most religion that's on the face of the earth. Every religion that is corrupt came from Nimrod, who actually instituted the Babylonian cult, which used the sign of the cross, the use of the penances, the confession to priests, and so many of these things were designed from the Babylonian style, of religion, corrupt religion style and all of that. Now, as soon as God dispersed that first development that came on earth and caused everybody to be divided by their tongue and tribe, Egypt took over and began to wax strong. And that was when Egypt now became the strong nation that began another level of development and dispensation of development. The Egyptian empire was so powerful, and at that point in time, their strength was, they never understood that they could use strength as a means of corruption. Now get this right. At that point of their strength, they saw themselves based on the fact that Joseph actually gave them a secret that will make them great. That secret was the dream of Pharaoh, which Joseph interpreted. And that secret was they were going to be economically powerful, and they're going to take over global, satisfaction. They're going to satisfy the world by the global revelation that God has given to them to preserve so much that the world will come to their land to get. And so Joseph was able to institute the development of the Egyptian empire. The Egyptian empire grew in the context, or in the mindset, that they are there to feed the world, also to help the world. So because of that mentality, they didn't really go outrightly evil to try to begin to conquer and to destroy. But at a point in time, when the children of Israel when Jacob now came with other children of Israel, and they now came into the land, and they were given the city of Goshen, which Pharaoh gave to them. What's the name of that Pharaoh now? I can't remember his name now. Search the name, I'll let you know. I've forgotten the name of that particular Pharaoh, because all the kings that come are called Pharaoh, but they have their particular name. It's just like when you go to the book of Daniel and you talk about the Persian king, the Mede Persian king, that Esther got married to, in the book of Esther, the Persian king who married Esther, the beautiful queen from the Jewish nation. The name of that man is Astyages, but he is called, Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus is a title. It's just like Darius, the name Darius 1, Darius 2, they're all titles. Ahasuerus is a title. It is not his real name. His real name is Astyages. But for Pharaoh, that first Pharaoh, I'm going to try to remember. It's coming to my mind, but I'm forgetting it. It's escaping my mind. I'm going to teach effectively, basically on this. Now, please, I'm going to end this broadcast now. In the next teaching, I'm going to open it from this point. I'm going to begin to give you insight because we want to bring it, narrow it down to this British Empire that's now corrupted our system and put us under slavery. How they were able to achieve that. By tomorrow morning, 1 p.m. Biafra time, I'm going to start this exposition. I've just opened it right now from the Egyptian Empire and the beginning of the Egyptian Empire. First, it began not corrupted. It began like a means of satisfying the world and doing great things to the world. And then another Pharaoh arose that didn't know Joseph. And of course, the children of Israel this time around have taken over the nation of Goshen, and they were doing greatly. But there's a need for there's a need for growth and all of that. But this time around, the new Pharaoh saw them as a threat. That is where the global problem began. So I'm going to start this teaching strongly by tomorrow, 1 p.m. Biafra time. Join me because I'm going to start teaching so that I can narrow it down to how we came to this time in our situation, in our time. Margaret Jogwa, thank you for joining. I'm just even rounding off. Thank you for joining here. Thank you for joining. I'm grateful to have you here, and thank you. I know that, of course, you will always be here if as soon as you have the time. So you actually are here because you now have the time. So thank you. By tomorrow, we're going to continue this broadcast. It's going to be explosive. The next part of it is going to be explosive. The narration here, you will blow your mind. Then you will now understand why we're in the problem we're in. Because history is fundamental to knowledge, and knowledge is a product of information, and information is the basis of our expression and our action or reactions. Because you only act by the information you have, and when you have that information, it makes you act either wrongly or rightly, and you can only adjudge your actions if they are right or wrong based on the information. Yes, Margaret, the time is 1 p.m. Biafra time. I'll be here Biafra time to talk about this and to express. You're going to just listen to this broadcast from the beginning. Now, if you can go back and listen to it from the beginning to end, you will now understand why the next broadcast will be very explosive. You will have so much information that when you are talking to people about this issue of Biafra, you need to understand the point of view you are coming. Lack this information, they actually ourselves in so and we have so many saboteurs and betrayal. But tomorrow is going to be explosive. Join me 1 p.m. Biafra time. Please share this broadcast on all your social media. Share it on to your friends, to your loved ones, to even to your enemies. Share it to them, and then let them be part of this. And then also subscribe to this channel, like the channel, and subscribe to it, and then we are going to actually do Mazi Paul Omubiko. I salute you, sir. Vision 555, Biafran Gospel Bible. I like that. I like that narrative anyways. Thank you for joining me, please. Thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow is going to be explosive. I'm going to open it from the angle of history, from the point of the Egyptian Empire to the point where we are now, so you understand the basis of our trouble and our problems. By the time we understand this, when you are talking about this, you talk in confidence. When people come to argue about Biafra, you talk in confidence, and they will be put to shame. So join me tomorrow, 1 p.m. Biafra time, on this platform, Biafra Global Network. Share this video to all your social media platforms. Send it to your enemies too, to come and listen, so that they can receive sense. You understand? Also, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Tell them also to subscribe so that they can get notification when I come on and all of that. Thank you so much for being part of this. I love you all. I'm going to play the other anthem of Biafra, to end this broadcast. And then, okay, I'm going to play it tomorrow because of time. We've exceeded our time, so I'm going to end this broadcast here. Thank you so much for joining me. I see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Biafra time. God bless you, very good, enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend. Enjoy yourself, but stay out of trouble. Stay out of anything that is going to cause you pain or cause you to cry. Stay, protect, be your brother's keeper. We thank God for our spokesperson Mazi Nnamdi, and keep praying for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It is very, very important that you pray for him at least minimum 3 times a day. God bless you, very good. Thank you for joining me.